Tanzania joins Zimbabwe in actually becoming one of the African countries to conduct fraudulent elections. I think we've been putting it as it is on this channel, and we've been, by the way, putting it as it is, speaking truth like no other, and painting the situation as it is. Even though SADC leaders or SADC heads of state, including, you would not believe this, Hakainde Hichilema of Zambia, have decided to attend the inauguration of a president who emerged in an election that is fraudulent. That is why Kalembe questioned why then would Zambia condemn Zimbabwe if it is seeing nothing wrong with Samia Suluhu, who has actually murdered 800 Tanzanians. And I like the spirits of Tanzanians because as we are speaking, the youths of Tanzania have occupied the streets again. It won't be business as usual in Tanzania. The youths are saying, bring it on. They are saying, we will not give up the fight. That is why this inauguration would be done in a private state house. So now getting back to why I did this live broadcast is SADC Observer mission, which is, by the way, not disappointing at all the times. But what disappoints are the SADC heads of state who are supposed to act, who do not act. How do you expect Mnangagwa to act against Samia when actually he did almost a similar thing in his country? Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to you. So I'm reading the conclusion of the SADC Observer mission report. I don't have to read everything. It's quite an interesting conclusion because in the conclusion, that is where there is judgment. That is where there is answer about what transpired. It says, in conclusion, the SADC Observer mission observed that the pre-election and opening phases were concluded in an orderly manner. In view of the mission observations as detailed above, mindful of the preliminary nature of this statement, it is the SADC Observer mission's tentative conclusion that in most areas, voters could not express their democratic will. That is the truth. More than how they started. Overall, the 2025 general election in the United Republic of Zambia fell short of the requirements of the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections. They fell short of the SADC principles guiding and governing democratic elections. The mission appeals to the citizens of the country to channel their concerns through established legal procedures and processes and not resort to violence or threats thereof. Following the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections 2021, our final report would be issued within 30 days of this preliminary statement. The SEOM advises that this statement was not delivered 2 days after election day. So this is not a statement that was delivered 2 days after elections day, and to the public within the URT as is the normal SEOM practice. This was due to the above mentioned security and communication challenges which made it impractical to follow the normal SEOM procedure. The SEAC shall return at an appropriate time to undertake a post-election review to determine the extent to which the recommendations of the SEOM have been implemented and the nature of support, if any, that the member states holding elections may require from the SADC region to implement these proposals. So, SADC Observer mission, as usual, condemning the elections that saw Samia Suluhu declaring herself as the winner, even though in most areas, as actually SADC Observer mission report has noted, elections did not take off. People did not participate in the electoral process. But guess what? This woman says she obtained 98% of the votes. Caption this: in the areas where vote did not take place. Remember, there is supposed to be a vote register, what they call voters roll. Now, to see that these are lies, and the lies done by a very dull woman. Now, caption this. Now, we've got a voters roll. A voters roll where all citizens who are supposed to vote, they register on that voters roll. It has a time to do the registration and an end time. I mean, when election starts, you are not allowed to vote if you are not registered. Now, caption this. Did you see the numbers of people who are demonstrating on the streets? Surely you cannot tell me that these are people who did not register to vote. These are people who were frustrated by the process. These are people who registered to vote, but they noticed that the process was fraudulent, and as such, they could not actually nurture the process. They decided to stop voting. We saw some places being burnt down. I think millions of Tanzanians occupied the streets. Now, out of those millions who occupied the streets, do you tell, and about 700 who died, do you think those people could have actually risked their lives without registering as voters? So now, if you take off 700 who have voted, will Samia get 98% of the votes? That in Africa, I don't know what is happening. And if you take off the number of within this voters roll, the numbers of people who actually did not participate in the electoral processes, if that is the case, do you think she would have obtained 90? Africa is turning to be a... I can attest, I know these dictators watch these channels, or this channel, or through their secret services. I can attest to you that, I mean, you will remember that doing this was very consequential. We've got very smart Africans. That is why the Tanzanians are on the streets now as we are speaking. And I wish all African youths across the African continent can actually stand up in all and speak against this. Otherwise, if we see Tanzanians in a difficult situation, we just watch and post it on social media, they will do the same thing when that happens to us. It's high time the youth of Africa stands up and be counted and actually get to determine their future. Otherwise, the economies of the African continent would be enjoyed by a few, whilst the majority of the youth remain impoverished, frustrated, and some of them, ending up committing suicide because of inconsiderate African leaders. This is the highest level of embarrassment. I've never seen what is happening in Tanzania. And obviously, being rubber stamped by Mnangagwa, I don't have a problem with it. Villain, we are trying to deal with that villain in Zimbabwe. But being rubber stamped by Hakainde Hichilema, hey, Africa is rotten to the core. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars.